RPGs may just be the best genre of gaming. I can't identify the exact reason why they get my blood boiling so much, but I think it's a combination of character progression and intricate storytelling. The way characters progress through an RPG is extremely special to me, especially in a JRPG. Whether it's through their own melodramatic backstories or learning new skills as they gain battle experience, the characters become more realized as you dump hours into raising them. In some way, I suppose this fills that paternal part of me that wishes to protect somebody. But instead of doing it in real life, with kids, I devote all that energy to my in-game children, so to say. That's kind of what drew me to I Am Setsuna, which is like a callback to JRPGs of yesteryear. Since it was created by Square's Tokyo RPG Factory, I was expecting an almost by-the-books playthrough, but as I fired it up for the first time, I was met with, odd configuration screen. Once I got past that, the game proved pretty intriguing. From what I understand, I Am Setsuna is a mix of Chrono Trigger and older Final Fantasy games. So as I began to play, I could immediately see these influences as the typical already on a mission scenario began, and I was informed that I was part of this mysterious Max tribe. It just so happens that tribe also is composed of only mercenaries. Now I'm a pretty big fan of Grandia too, so this is a pretty familiar trope. Surprisingly, they brought back the old school naming system from the SNES era. With the chance to rename my character, I decided to follow Hapsper's lead and name myself Japsper. I mean, we're from the same tribe, so yeah. After giving myself an amazing name, I faced my first enemy, the evil walls of text. This is something I've always hated. Instead of teaching me how to play or even an annoying person yelling in my ear, you gave me half a novel to read to get acquainted to something like attacking. I did welcome it when explained some of the later mechanics before an opening act. It immediately slowed down my interest in the game. The story of what I now understand will be the prologue of I Am Setsuna caught some very familiar beats. As I continued forward to complete my job with Hapsper, he actually had to head out, and almost on cue came a mysterious person with my bigger mission. Now I guessed that maybe they'd send me off to, I don't know, a grand island to go find some magical girl that can bring salvation back to the world, and then I'd have to protect her, or they can ask me to kill her. So an hour later, and I Am Setsuna is pretty cool. From what I thought was a fairly safe and generic trot down memory lane evolved into one of the oddest games of will they won't they in the world. Let me explain. Remember that girl the dude sent me to go kill? Well, it turns out her name is Setsuna. Yeah, I know. And my job was to kill her before she was sacrificed to protect the world. However, her bosom buddy Eterna and her father stopped me before I could commit the act. If that wasn't ridiculous enough, apparently attempted murder of a sacrifice is punishable by death. Well, after some events that I won't go into too much detail on, you're tasked as her guard to accompany her to the place where she will die, instead of killing her yourself, which is what you were sent to do. This leads us to a weird point where we're traveling with this girl and protecting her from dying, although my protagonist really seems to want to do his job. At least from the first hour, that's what I thought he was like anyway. It's a weird feeling since you have an obligation to complete your work, but everyone around you is telling you can't do it. It's kind of like if you're in your own house about to make a sandwich, and some dudes bust in and tell you have to go drive 10 hours to go across town to buy a better sandwich that'll actually save the world. I mean, that's cool and all, but I'm hungry now, man. Outside of what may be one of the oddest scenarios I've ever played is a relatively animated world. Every inch of the map seems like it's something you can actually explore, and the graphical style perfectly illustrates the somberness of the situation. As you march to Setsuna's demise, the snow constantly falls, creating an extremely eerie and anxious feeling. It's an odd little title, but my eyes remain glued to the screen far into the last hour of the game. In my final hour, I continued to enjoy the atmosphere and ambiance and relished in the glory of battle and character progression. Battle is not exactly exhilarating this early on, but most RPGs don't really ramp up until a good 10 hours in. However, I can say that it does feel a little bit like Chrono Trigger as encounters occur exactly where you bump into them. Combat is divided into a few different key features. I chose the ATB setting early on, so instead of going one by one, the enemies can all attack me at once. Sort of. I mean, it's more like they can interrupt you if you don't pick an action fast enough. Naturally, you have access to attacks, special techniques, items, and outside of that, there are actually two pretty interesting systems. Combo attacks are really similar to Chrono Trigger and allow you to use 2 or 3 party members to make unique and devastating combo attacks. They're flashy, they're cool, they're awesome. The momentum system is a whole different beast though. Momentum points built through attacking, healing, or even not doing anything at all. Like, I put my controller down and just watched it, and I started building up points, so that's a thing. Anyway, momentum points are used in two ways from what I could see. You can tap a button right after you choose to attack to add extra damage, or tap that same button after casting a heal to add an effect like ATB boost or to remove debuffs. After enough uses, you activate a singularity, which I don't actually know how it works. I mean, I think it's a passive, but I may need to push a button. I don't know if it's working. It doesn't really talk about it. Yeah. Experience, on the other hand, is a rather skimpy affair, so instead you're able to temper your weapons as well as purchase Spiritite. Spiritite is very similar to Magicite, and you have to equip it to your accessories to gain access to it. What the Spiritite does is give you access to more techniques and thereby more combo moves for your characters. Getting Spiritite comes at a cost similar to how you had to buy spells in the old Final Fantasies. Except you don't spend the money, he actually pays you, so you basically give him an item, he gives you money, and then you also get a Spiritite out of it. It's a definite win-win. So beginning to close in on my last few minutes with I Am Setsuna, I believe I played enough to understand the game as a whole. The characters, design, combat system, and a lot of the ethical themes remind me of some of the greatest JRPGs ever made. Throwing them all together into one single title is certainly a safe way to do things, but at the moment, I really don't think I Am Setsuna is a game that can stand on its own. I mean, it's constantly being compared to its predecessors, and even while I was playing it, I couldn't see the big difference between it and Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy. Name another game, and he probably has influences in this game. The story does seem to follow a different track than I'm used to, however, who knows? This could prove to be one of the legendary titles, or it could just disappear and be buried in the snow. Hey guys, thanks for watching the first few. I've changed a few things since Catch Me, including the way I narrate as well as the intros you may have noticed. I'm curious what you guys may think. Is this better? Is this worse? Like it? Love it? Hate it? Let me know in the comments below, and if you want to, suggest a game for me to play next. In addition, while you're there, might as well subscribe, right?